like to thank our sponsor, Confined Space Coffee. It's roasted strong for the ones writing their comeback story. Because whether you're working in a dark crawl space on the job, or you're trapped in the confined spaces of your mind, body, or spirit, we all need help. Men at the Movies listeners get 10% off their first order by using the coupon code MATM. Confined Space Coffee, brewed for the hard places. Coming up on the Men at the Movies podcast, we discuss the movie Ronin. The term Ronin refers to a class of samurai who are basically masterless warriors. And while you might think that you don't have a master, your choices and your actions reveal actually who or what that master might be. Actions reveal your character, which reveals who your master is. Whenever there is any doubt, there is no doubt. And join us as we discover God's truth in this movie.
The movies and stories we love are gateways to see ourselves and God in new ways.
Every great story borrows its power from a larger story, the story that's written on our hearts and woven into the fabric of our very being.
Hello and welcome to the Men at the Movies podcast. My name is Paul McDonald, and today I'm really excited about our guest and the movie we're going to talk about. We have been talking for almost an hour now. So I was like, we really need to get this started because it's really late where you are in Malaysia. So I'm super excited to have Christian Shu join me on the podcast. So Christian, how are you doing tonight for where you are?
Paul, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on your podcast. I mean, yes, you're right. We're talking almost 1 hour and it was flying like 10 minutes. It felt for me. I'm just happy to be on your show. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm super glad. You reached out several weeks ago, just an email and said, "Hey, would you be interested? How do you get to be a guest?" And I was like, "Well, this is pretty much the process. We start a conversation, see how it goes, and we go from there." So, what made you reach out in the first place?
Well, like you mentioned earlier, I'm in Malaysia. I'm living in Malaysia, but most of my clients are in Europe. So I travel a lot. I travel usually once a month between those two continents and countries, between Germany and Malaysia. So right now I'm in Malaysia. I will fly again to Germany, stay there for another month, and then go back and forth and back and forth. And when I'm in Germany, I used to travel a lot because, as maybe your audience know, Germany is rather small compared to the US. So you can reach everything by car. From where I stay, I need 20 minutes to France, 2 hours to Switzerland, and maybe 3.5 hours to Austria, where I also have clients. 5 hours, I'm in Italy by car. So I travel a lot because I have clients all over those countries. Yeah, and then sometimes I listen to music, but mostly I listen to podcasts. And I was just searching on my Apple Podcasts for filmmaking, movie making, and your podcast appeared. And I was like, okay, Man at the Movies, let's try, yeah? And I was interested in listening to it. And I always give the podcast a chance, not like after 2 minutes, 5 minutes or what, I will skip that. And I've been starting to listen and I was interested. And the time was flying and I was reaching my destination. And then I decided to go on listening to it. And after a while, I thought, maybe that would be interesting to appear as a guest, especially because, I'm quite regularly on some interviews and stuff like that, where I talk about my expertise and where I talk about being a filmmaker and how is the industry and so on. But what we are not talking about usually is other movies. And this is interesting for me. And I like your concept on, it's kind of a deep dive into why you choose this particular movie to talk about. Why is it so interesting for you? And you want to find the true reason behind. I just like this approach. So I thought like, yeah, okay, let's see what will, if he's even interested, if Paul is even interested to talk with me. And then, okay, what we are talking about. All right. We choose a movie and now we are here.
Yeah. Yeah. And, one of the sort of the inspirations for this podcast was another podcast called The Rewatchables, where they talk about movies probably in a very similar way that you were talking about. Not that it's bad, because they're talking about movies that are rewatchable and we love over and over and over watching them. But they talk about how it's made and who's in it and all this other stuff, which is good. It's interesting to me, since I've worked less and traveled less as my kids have grown up and been out of school, I don't spend as much time in the car, definitely, as you do these days. And so my podcast listening has gone way down. But they don't, like, what I enjoy talking about, and even in our conversation earlier, is getting to the heart. And it's like, what is as you mentioned, the deeper truths? Where can we go? And I've had somebody describe one of the conversations I've had. They're like, it was almost uncomfortable because it was like two good friends sitting, having this deep, intimate conversation. I was like, that's actually awesome. That's the perfect thing. Like, we're sitting there, at a pub, sharing a pint, talking about movies and stuff that we love and stuff that matters. And, so while the filmmaking stuff is something that is exciting and maybe the industry stuff less so, but but now we're talking about a movie that you're like, I love this movie and here's why. So you sent me a very eclectic list. I think there were 6 in there, a variety of ages, genres. I do think you tend towards more like the crime stuff for sure.
I would say yes. I kind of love spy movies and crimes and also thrillers where you are. Mm-hmm. I mean, first time is every movie is new to you and you don't know what to expect from that, obviously. But there are movies we all watched them before where we know exactly what's going to happen in the next scene. And And when that happens, yes, I watch it until the end usually. But most of the times I'm not surprised anymore by anything what's happening. And I feel like I kind of wasted my time. And I love it if a movie is not like that. The list that I've sent you is not completed at all. I just picked a few that were coming into my mind in that moment. And for whatever reason, when you came back to me and said, choose among those 3, I was like, then I choose Ronin.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why. Sometimes it's like you listen to your gut and just make a decision. But I felt that might be a little bit more interesting. Maybe also because I think it's a little bit of an underrated movie. It's not a movie that maybe so many people heard of. It's definitely not mainstream, even though the cast is quite mainstream, quite popular. But I also read about it. Box office was a little bit disastrous for that kind of cast, and so I was like, why not? Why not this movie?
When I was doing my little bit of research, I saw that it was on, I think, the list of, it was number 1 of the top 10 underrated like action movies you've never heard of. But I remember going to see this in the theater, which means, yes, I'm that old, when it came out in 98. But just for those of you listening who are wondering, well, what else was on his list? Well, he's got Fracture in 2007, A Perfect Murder in 98, Inside Man 06, Insomnia 02, Jackie Brown 2011, and then, Ronin. And, you've got, I think they're all kind of crime spy stuff. Now that I'm looking at the list. The Bourne Identity is great. And as with as with any of these action movies that we tend to find, and one of the reasons that as sort of the film, looking at it from the filmmaker perspective of this movie is so much of a show don't tell moment. Not just the moment, but the whole movie is frequently show don't tell, which again is a indicator of a quality storyteller.
100% agree. And what I like about that movie, or no, let me put it different way. What I hate about movies is if the director or the producer grabbing my hand and saying like, okay, this is what you need to know. And that you also need to know. And that's why I'm telling you in the first 10 or 20 minutes of that film. And then let's see where we go from here. No, please. What I love about Ronin is already you are pushed into a situation you have no idea about. There is no speaker, no off voice that is explaining anything. You are seeing a situation, you don't know what's going to happen first. And that's how when I first watched that movie many, many years ago, I was asking myself, okay, why is he there? Actually, what is the purpose of this? Okay, obviously they are meeting in a rather dirty kind of bar in Paris. But why? For what reason? Yeah, they are not doing anything good, I understand. Pretty fast. But why is he afraid that he might not get out alive of this meeting at the beginning? He walks around, he places his gun in the back alley and then only walks to the front door. And all of this, why like that? And you don't get an explanation. You need to wait. I love it. There are so many questions that are unanswered until half of the movie, I think. And then you also don't know yet. Yeah? And it goes on like this. They reveal a little bit, okay, you know roughly why they are doing that. For money, maybe. You are never sure. And only at the end, it's partly revealed. And I like that because it leaves some room for interpretation for you. There is no story that is fully closed, you know, like a circle, like you can't go in and out from this. To me, I like this kind of approach to have it not perfect and not 100% told. Like I said before, it gives you some room for interpretation, for maybe also putting yourself into the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
There's, I remember in writing, they said you don't have to describe everything that's going on in a kitchen.
Yeah.
Because people can fill in the gaps.
Yes.
Like in this movie, we never know this guy in the wheelchair that they mentioned several times. We never find out what's in the case.
Yes.
We don't know where Deirdre goes to. We don't know what happens to her after she drives off.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you don't really have to.
No, but it leaves something to it. And I believe they didn't do that like how they do it nowadays to have a sequel ready, which is also
Ronin 2.
I just want to shake my head sometimes, when you obviously know already, okay, this story is not told until the end because they expect it's going to be a success, and then there you go, and fill in the blanks in the next sequel and in the sequel after that and so on until the movie is not the original at all anymore. But here with Ronin, the story is told that the director wanted to tell. I believe that. There is no sequel. There was never a sequel planned, for sure. And it's just ending there. And I also like that Sam, the main character, is actually at the end sitting in the same cafe or bar, waiting for her to show up, because they kind of getting along pretty well. And he found out that she actually didn't betray him, but needed to do that because the bad guy asked her to do that. And then, so it was not about she is being bad to him, but she just followed orders more or less.
Right.
And even though she's for sure more bad, than him, but still he wish she come back, and she doesn't. And his friend Vincent is telling him that she won't come back, buddy. She won't come back. And from there, the movie finishes. So we have a good friendship that is established here, but the love is gone. Yeah.
And even I can't remember, and it was somebody in Europe, so I can't remember who phrased it this way, but they had been traveling together, like on a train or on a plane somewhere, had a really good conversation with somebody, and as they're walking off, he's like, "Thank you, you've been a great disposable friend." Like this moment where you kind of engage with somebody, and I think for a lot of us, we think, oh well, now Vincent and Sam. Well, they need to have another movie together. They need to stay together. There's a part of us that wants to see that.
Yes.
When the reality is this movie is sort of an episode of Sam and Vincent's life.
Yes.
And we see things as they see them, and then they go their separate ways, and that's okay.
Yes. Yes. It's like a zoom in to a situation. We follow along through a certain amount of time and a certain amount of project that they have together. And after that, we zoom out because we can't see anything anymore. The movie is over. And you are absolutely right. I mean, I would love to see them. I would love to see them in another movie together, playing together. Now they are old. It's maybe a little bit too late for that. Yeah. But I would have loved to see them again in Ronin 2, or maybe not Ronin 2, but another movie. Yeah. But at the same time, I believe that this is also something that is why I like that movie. Because it is this kind of zoom in and zoom out, is an episode of two people mixing together by accident. I mean, it was not like Sam said, "Oh yeah, now I'm working with Vincent." They met each other at that bar in the night for the first time in their lives, and they're getting along with each other. Both realize, okay, we are not talking with idiot here. Not like the other one who's dropping out. Sean Bean or Ben or however. We've been talking about that in the pre-recording. They understand each other. They kind of have a professional friendship, which then turns into friendship more, kind of. Yeah.
I think there's a relationship, a connection you make with someone who, very similarly to our connection of we love movies, we love filmmaking, we understand, there's a certain way of looking at the world.
Yeah.
And both Sam and Vincent in this story share that, and they realize it very quickly. Even Sam wakes up and he's like, "Are you labor or management?" And Vincent says, "Well, if I was management, I wouldn't be offering you a cigarette."
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons this sort of resonates is because that is much more similar to how our lives go. The story of our lives is not we make this connection and it's a forever thing. Yeah. It's I make this connection. Sam saves Vincent's life. Vincent saves Sam's life. And there's this back and forth. And then it's like, okay, we this episode is done. This mission is done. And we're going to go our separate ways. We're better for having known that person. And to a degree, we'll sort of carry them with us as we go forward.
Yes.
But a lot of people have this pressure of, in order for this to be really successful and meaningful, like I've got to stay in contact, especially in today's world. I've got to text him. What's your email? What's this and that? And he's just like, man, thanks for. It's like we both impacted our lives in a profound way.
Yeah.
And we're going to move on with those lives.
Yes. Yes. And like you mentioned, to me at least, it seems like this is, I mean, obviously that movie was made before social media, before cell phone, not before cell phones, but before smartphones.
Yeah.
So just like what you said just now, today is like, oh, let's connect here, let's connect there. Okay. But I believe that the connections, that you made nowadays rarely go that deep like how it shows in that movie. This connection is so deep. We don't know if they see each other again or not, but if they do, they have so much trust and loyalty to each other. Nowadays with social media, friends, who is having that anymore, you know? This kind of deep understanding, this kind of deep relationship like those two men have with each other, even though they didn't talk much on screen. Right. I mean, that's rather a silent movie. I mean, there is obviously conversation, but not like telling each other's life story and going from there. But having more like a feeling with each other, like, okay, this guy is okay, that guy is okay, I can trust this person. And then, of course, the obvious fact that they save each other's lives, that does something with you. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. That depth that we have in this movie, of course, is a bit much because saving each other's lives, but that even the depth before this is happening, nowadays, less.
I mean, you can friend or become non-friends with a click.
Yeah.
And I would say we're not created for that. We're not designed for that. We're designed for a deeper connection, where you can sit down and enjoy a nice espresso, or as we mentioned, a pint would be great. It would be awesome to sit and have a pint with you in Germany, and it would be so much fun. And it's sort of the same thing of, hey, if we run into each other again, that's awesome. And if not, I'm better for having known you. Right.
Yeah, true.
And I think that's something that we all crave in one way or another.
Absolutely. And I believe also, I mean, we had this pre-recording, you and me, just now. Yeah. And I absolutely loved it. And like I said before, it felt like 10, 15 minutes. I know it wasn't, obviously, I know, but it felt like that. And if it feels like this to me, I really, I'm really happy already, you know? It's, because I can see there is some connection. There is something that is interesting and worth diving deeper.
Yeah. As you mentioned, there's no expository narration going on. We don't see the dossier of every person that comes in the room. It is very reminiscent of Reservoir Dogs, where these guys just sort of show up. And there is this one thing in the very beginning. It's sort of a scroll. A text message comes on the screen, and it tells you what Ronin are. And it says, in feudal Japan, the warrior class of samurai were sworn to protect their liege lords with their lives. Those samurai whose liege was killed suffered a great shame, and they were forced to wander the land looking for work as hired swords or bandits. These masterless warriors were no longer referred to as samurai. They were known by another name. Such men were called Ronin. Taken from a certain perspective, you're like, those lines, not of dialogue, but almost, those written words on the screen have very little to do on the surface with the story of this movie.
Yes, but they tell you at the beginning, when you don't know yet, that's how I felt it, that it's about loyalty, about values, about a lot more depth to come than what is revealed at the beginning, or maybe even after half of the movie. And you have all of this inside. You have betrayal, you have friendship, you have people you can rely on to protect you. This is so deep. And yeah, like we have this kind of connection when Sam is shot and Vincent transports him to his friend, which is another French with a long beard and long hair, and they are talking, "Who are you?" And he asks a question to Sam, and Sam answers to a question that he never asked, but yet he wants to know the answer. So for me, I don't know how to say that, but for me is kind of they have a kind of bound a connection in this situation together, where they, I would say, almost like swear or pledge, do some kind of pledge to each other, like to protect, to not attack, maybe, because that friend Jean-Pierre and Vincent, they are friends, and like Sam is the kind of new guy into that two-person relationships. Vincent and Jean-Pierre it looks like they know each other for a very long time, and then Sam comes into that, and okay, why should I trust you? More or less, it's that, I mean, they don't ask, but that's the question that is above their heads in the black box. Why should I ask? Why should I trust you? Can I trust you? And onto what kind of level? And then Vincent is revealing, he saved my life. It's like, I have to do that for him. No matter I want or not, I have to do that. He saved my life. So we already know, and this is what the end of the story. I mean, second half, after second half, maybe third already, yeah, of the, yeah, like the last, how long is that movie? 2 hours. So it's like, it's like after 1 hour 20 or something like that already. Yeah. In the last 40 minutes, maybe, this is only coming up. And I like this kind of understanding, and I like this kind of, unspoken bond, maybe they have with each other. You don't need to talk about, you don't need to set up a contract. Yes, I don't attack you, you don't attack me. We are Ronin, you know? That's where I believe is the first quotes on, like the first paragraphs on the screen coming back into action. Something like that. Not exactly, of course, in that kind of like you kill yourself, yeah. But at the end, he's also telling Jean-Pierre, also telling Sam how they commit suicide after they go for revenge to kill the man who killed their master, those 47 Ronins, and then they commit suicide, all of them, and not a nice one. They didn't take pills and fall asleep. They take a sword into their internal organs and cut and die from this. And all of this is a metaphor about the bond they are having. That's how I see that. Yeah. So to me, it's quite powerful.
As you were talking, again, sort of how this mirrors the life we live, is we enter into these missions, these assignments, these jobs, wherever.
Yeah.
And you don't know who to trust. You don't know who's going to have your back. And the only way to know is action. Actions reveal your character.
Yes.
They reveal who you are. And that's what we see in this movie.
Yeah.
And I want to actually play that clip that you were just talking about, where Jean-Pierre shows up and he has these little miniatures of a medieval, a Japanese sort of, not a village, but a home, basically. And
Yeah.
he's doing these miniatures, and he asks Sam, like, have you heard the story of the 47 Ronin? And then he proceeds to tell him the story.
47 samurai whose master was betrayed and killed by another lord. They became Ronin, masterless samurai, disgraced by another man's treachery. And for 3 years they plotted, pretending to be thieves, mercenaries, even madmen, that I didn't have time to do. And then one night they struck, slipping into the castle of their lord's betrayer, killing him.
Nice. Like that. My kind of job.
There's something more. All 47 of them committed seppuku, ritual suicide, in the courtyard of the castle.
Well, that I don't like so much.
But you understand it.
What do you mean I understand it?
The warrior code, the delight in the battle, you understand that, yes? But also something more. You understand there is something outside yourself that has to be served. And when that need is gone, when belief has died, what are you? A man without a master.
Right now, I'm a man without a paycheck.
The Ronin could have hired themselves to new masters. They could have fought for themselves. But they chose honor. They chose myth.
They chose wrong.
That to me is, as we discussed, is one of the most interesting moments of the movie.
Yes.
Where they're having this discussion too. And I sort of, as I was trying to figure out what the theme, what the concept is, they talk about Ronin being masterless warriors. And what do you do when your master dies, your liege lord, the one you've pledged yourself to? And I think the intent was, each one of these guys on the mission, and even Deirdre, are supposedly Ronin. They're gathered from who knows how. They're recruited through some pipeline.
Yeah.
But originally I'd said there's the danger of being a masterless warrior, because who can you trust? Who can you trust? Who's going to betray you and all this stuff? But as I went, I was like, more and more I thought about it, and through our conversation, it's much less the danger of being a masterless warrior, but it's a fallacy. Because he even says, what are you going to give your life for? Because that's your master.
Yeah.
Whether it's Spence, who was Sean Bean, who was inexperienced, in over his head, didn't know what he was doing, but puffing up, trying to prove himself to these guys who obviously were experienced.
Yeah.
And he was quickly weeded out. You see Gregor, who's Stellan Skarsgård, he's the one who betrayed them all.
Yeah.
And because he just wanted the money. But it was interesting because what you see, and my wife actually has a situation at work, because what you see is untrustworthy people distrust other people. I think in U2's song, they say a liar won't believe anyone else.
Yeah.
When you are untrustworthy, you don't trust people. And she had a situation with someone who frequently talks behind other people's backs and is, working the political system of leadership and management and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like, she was having some interaction with it. It was like, well, he assumes that you're like him. So he's worried about what you're saying behind his back.
Even though you might not. Yeah.
Right. She's like, and she doesn't understand it because she's just like, I don't understand. Why would you do this? Why do I need to? Nobody likes playing the politics except for the politicians, I guess. We're not going to get into politics here.
No. Please not.
But going back to that idea, the actions reveal your character.
Mm-hmm.
And in so doing, they reveal your master. Because everybody has a master, whether you like it or not.
Yes.
So, Christian, I want to ask you a little bit, going back into your story that you shared.
Absolutely.
Because you had a moment, you got out of school and you got a job selling insurance because you, as a young man in your 20s, you need to make money.
Yeah.
That kind of is important. It's important around here. But then something happened along the way where you sort of had to say, what's going to be my master? What's going to be the thing that I follow?
Yeah. You know, I'm self-employed, an entrepreneur since my half life. I mean, when I was done with school and I started, I've been an employee for 2 years. And after that, I couldn't go on anymore. First of all, I don't like if anybody tells me what I should do. Secondly, I don't like to work for other people, not as a client on the same level, but as somebody I build up their dreams for. That's just me. I don't like it. I don't have a problem to take the risk by myself and fail, but at least I tried.
Yeah.
So, okay. So when I became self-employed, that was 2010. That's also now, 15 years ago. My God.
Goes by quick.
and I'm only 38. So, okay, I became self-employed very early, but at the same time, it paid out very fast. I've been having, like I mentioned before, I've been having a successful career in this, and I did it for the money and for the money only. And that was the reason why I was at a certain stage in my life where I had to choose whether I choose comfort of being unhappy, or the risk of being fulfilled. Maybe. I also didn't know. No, I always knew that is the way I should go. I always knew that my intention, my intuition is the right word. My gut always told me this is the right way. But my brain was playing with me and my ego. And so I needed to come to this point. Ultimately, I believe, I don't know, there is a paved way, destiny, God, or whatever. I don't know if it was, but I believe, I think it must have happened like this. I needed to go through, make this experience, being good at something else, but understanding that this is not my ultimate goal that I want to do the rest of my life. I think I needed to go there. And I needed to witness the wonder of me going into the direction I want to go, and I feel that this is the way I should do. And then the wonder happened of God, Buddha, the universe, open the gate for me and more or less rolling out the red carpet and saying, Christian, finally, welcome to your life. And that was so powerful. I've been changing everything what I was doing. I had no plan in being a filmmaker. And 1 month later, I get to know that person, and that person introduced me to another company, and this company say, well, we don't know you, but we believe in you. Here you got 10,000 euros start. And you're like, huh? Why?
Am I living in a movie? What? This doesn't happen.
Me? Yeah, it was really like how I said that. I was so overwhelmed, and in that moment, I really felt like, okay, this is the right path. Otherwise, why am I rewarded for taking the leap of faith and jumping into the cold water with all the risk and fear that I had and doubts that I had. I still did it. And that was another thing. I didn't leave open a door for me. Like, some kind of escape door or something like that. I decided, that's it. I'm not going to sell insurance anymore. I'm not going to go on with the companies I built up. I am starting out a new brand that is only me, and let's do that now. And I really made that decision. Quite brave, I would say, maybe stupid in that moment, but
there's a thin line.
I felt that's the right thing to do. I have to do it. And the people around me, the only one supporting me back then was my girlfriend, which is now my wife. My mom was saying like, okay, are you sure? Yeah. Yeah, okay, then you do that. But yeah, there you have money. There you don't know. My dad, if it's about my dad, I would be an employee for the government now, which I definitely couldn't do at all. I'm way too how to say. You usually don't find me in other people's butt, So that is not the right place for a government worker.
Right.
Let's say like that. I couldn't do that. I couldn't. My mind is way too much into being me and being honest to myself and being true. And I have this. I always felt a deep feeling of how is that called in English? Sorry for being not a native speaker. This kind of I have a big playing fair. I feel if something is not right, and then I want to step in and help and protect. I don't know how you call that kind of feeling, but that was always me. That even in school when there was a girl being bullied, I've been the one standing in front of her and saying, "Hey, wait, why are you doing that? She's a girl. Stop that." And something like that. I always had a big urge of this kind of
kind of a protector.
But not protector necessarily, but that kind of big. I feel if something is not right, and then I feel uncomfortable, and I feel like I have to do something, and I need to do my best to make it equal, to make it even, to make not revenge, but like if there is injustice, I can't take it. I can't take injustice. That's why I'm the wrong person for being an employee, being a government worker. It's not my thing. And to be honest, I don't even know how we came to this point now.
I rarely do. Our conversations always get on these rabbit trails and people apologize. I was like, we embrace our ADHD around here. So we just go with it. What you just said, I mean, you said a lot of really incredible things, and just from what you shared, I'm like, oh, this is why we connected, because so many of the things that you shared are things that I feel. And, to witness the wonder, like I loved that concept of, so often we associate that with like, the Alps or going to these amazing views or seeing beauty, but witnessing the wonder of basically being true to your own heart. And you talked about as a kid playing Legos, and you weren't building castles or cars or houses. You were building film sets with your Legos. And And I just love that, because that's, to me, that's still witnessing the wonder of that little boy still in there and getting to express himself in different ways. Yeah. And there's that tension of witnessing the wonder and what you just said of, in a lot of ways, fighting injustice in whatever way that looks like, which is a hard thing. That's a hard burden to bear in today's world. Yes. Because we can see injustice everywhere.
Yes. And, as a media person, I'm not consuming media for so many years. I can't watch all of these things. I've been working for Europe's biggest newspaper for one project long ago. That was in Mallorca. Actually, I lived in Mallorca for 2 years. So that's why I also got some jobs there when I was living there, because you know people and people know people. It's always a network. And I did something for them, and after I finished that job and I've seen what they made out of it, I just couldn't go on working for them. Because it's, we are talking about injustice. And injustice is also if there are stories told that are not true. And if you witness that, how the media, maybe not in everything, but I don't want to be so political, but how they tell stories to fit a narrative, and then you follow that narrative, and then you realize, okay, it's either clickbait or they have a big sponsor doing that, doing something good for them, which is money. So they need to follow them, and follow that is so tiring, for me. It's so tiring. Maybe that's also one of the reasons why I love actually not only doing my own projects when it comes to film making. Yeah, obviously I can tell a story that I care about, but also I love commercials because it's honest. You know what you get. The company won't tell you the flaws of that product. It's obviously a sing-sang of beauty and nice and whatever, but everybody knows it's a commercial. When you see the news, you don't know it's a commercial, but it is. You just don't know who is paying for it. That's how I get to know that kind of world. So that's why I like it to tell stories for companies, because everyone knows. They are not going to talk about how bad is that product and how terrible is the app for working with it. You need to find out by yourself, or maybe you go on YouTube and hopefully find one guy who's doing a review that is not paid for.
Right. Like, oh, this is amazing. It's like, wait, then you scroll down and see, oh, they got it for free to do a review.
Then you know.
That's always going to skew your review of a product if it's free.
Yes. I'm very lucky to be able to choose my clients wisely. And I'm also very lucky that my clients are happy with me and I'm happy with them. So we go on working for many years together. In the industry I am now mostly doing films for is the hi-fi and high-end industry. Companies like Macintosh Labs from the US, or Name Audio from England, Bang & Olufsen, maybe you heard of, or Bowers & Wilkins. They are all sitting up at a level, it's all luxury. Everybody wants, nobody needs. So it's nice to do commercials and content for them. But I can choose. They are producing something that you and I have a benefit if we buy these products, if we like to listen to music. We like that, then we will buy their products, and it's honest. You have a device that is actually lasting at least 10 years. Yeah, it's not cheap. No doubt. It's not JBL and it's not Bose. It sits above them. From the level, the luxury level. It's like you're driving a Lexus or even a Rolls Royce when it comes to hi-fi and high-end equipment. It's the best of the line. But It's sustainable. It's lasting long. It's made of good materials. It's for sure, over half of those companies manufacture in their respective countries. For example, Macintosh Labs, all is made in the US, all. Yeah, okay, that circuit board maybe is coming from China, yeah, because they are the biggest producers, or Taiwan, or wherever they are coming from,
right.
But that will be delivered to the US. They stitch it together there. They build it, they test it, they develop it, they try it, and eventually they send it out. They ship it to the customer. And I like that approach. It's not your hanging a tag made in the US, and it's not like,
right.
Like the last screw they screw in the US. No. In whatever country. I mean, I take Macintosh Labs now because we are. I'm in your podcast. I can say the same about Denmark and Germany and whatever. Where I have my clients. But I like to be able to do that. I like to be able to choose who am I helping on the way.
It's always interesting to me how stuff that goes on outside the podcast comes into the podcast. Because just last night, I was reading this book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer.
Okay.
And it's based on this concept from Dallas Willard, who is a theologian. And so, and there's a couple layers. So, because he was writing about this conversation between John Ortberg and Dallas Willard, and John Ortberg had gone to Dallas Willard and said, what is the most important thing I can do to help my spiritual walk and growth and development and all those things? And Dallas Willard paused, because that's what Dallas Willard does. And he said, ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. And John Ortberg wrote that down. He's like, okay, what's next? He's like, that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even a come back to me when you get that done. It's like, you're going to be working on this for the rest of your life, but you've got to create the space. And so one of the things, I'm towards the end of the book now, where it's talking about the practices to put into place. One of them is silence and solitude. One of them is Sabbath, where you actually take a day of rest, of play, of enjoyment, of delight, where you actually rest and don't just continue on in a different mindset. But last night's chapter was on simplicity and how we clutter our lives with so much crap, and how much that crap demands our time.
Yeah.
But even to what you just said about the high-end speakers and audio equipment, he said one of the things he talked about was sustainability. Where does your stuff come from? Is it coming from those places where slavery is rampant, where the unfair, unjust labor practices occur?
Yeah.
And then when you look at stuff, because especially as Americans, we buy stuff that's cheap and disposable.
Yes.
And that complicates our lives, because every couple of years you got to go out and buy something else because the cheap
because
thing
it's not
you
working
bought
anymore. Yeah.
Right. Whereas if you spend that money, you're like, I am going to be happy with this for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't need to worry about it. I remember reading this story about basically how poverty works and the example was cowboys, and said, okay, there's a cowboy, he might make $10 a cattle drive, say, and there's a $2 pair of boots, but the boots only last like a season or two, maybe.
Yeah.
But by then they're worn out, they're leaking, they're uncomfortable. There's a really good pair of boots for $20 that'll last 10 years or more. They'll be comfortable. They'll keep his feet dry.
Yeah.
They do all kinds of good stuff, but they're priced out of anything he could ever actually afford.
Yeah.
And they were saying that's sort of what happens in the world, is the stuff that people need to get out of poverty isn't available to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then conversely, as like, if you get the opportunity to do that, to get that thing, to say, yeah, this is $2, this is 10 times as expensive.
Yeah.
But it's actually going to do the job. It's going to keep my feet dry. It's going to protect me. It's going to last. It's going to do what I need it to for longer than I could possibly imagine.
Yes.
And that actually simplifies your life. Because
Totally
the guy
agree.
even said, he's cut it down to like two outfits a season, which I'm thinking is crazy talk because I like having options. But my closet is complicated, right?
Yeah.
My closet is cluttered. And if you will, and
it's not enough space.
Right. And that was his whole thing. He's like, in America, we have more square footage in storage units because then people need to live. Like that probably would solve the housing problem if we converted storage units to actually housing.
Crazy.
Because I don't have enough space in my house. For the crap that I have. And like you just said, I don't know how we got here, but this idea of excess of, again, going back to the actions reveal your character and reveal who your master is.
Yes.
Because we all have a master. We all have something that drives us.
Yes.
It may be like your dad, may be with the stability and security of a government job. And you're like, I can't live with that master.
I really can't. Yeah. True. But when it's about this, my parents, obviously they are a different generation. They are born 1953, directly after the war. Mm-hmm. There was not much left. Poor. You don't know what to eat. And then you grow up in this environment. You are happy if you have a secure, safe job that pays you every month the same amount, or maybe every year slightly more, increasing, like taking away the inflation at least. But to me, that was never something that I wanted to achieve. I've seen, maybe also because I grow up from this, I've seen my parents being a middle class in Germany, easygoing. We've been going for vacation. We had 2 cars. All was good, more or less. But to me, it was always a bit boring and a bit foreseeable. I mean, you know, there was nothing to it anymore. And to touch that very quickly, my childhood was not so nice. My parents both having problems with themselves a lot, addiction and something like that. So I grew up. Basically, when I was 12 years old, I've been cooking myself. I've been washing myself, my clothes and everything. I had my own life in my parents' apartment. Today I know that was the best thing that could happen to me, because I've been independent from such a young age, making my own decisions. And maybe that was also the reason why I became an entrepreneur and a company owner and doing my own things. Maybe I don't know. So with this, I could not lead that life that my parents did. And also that many other people do, to be honest. I mean, we are talking about 80 or 90% in Germany, at least 90%. They are not self-employed. They are employed. They work for somebody else's dream in a company, making them rich, more or less, or like building up, for sure, doing good work and getting a good payment. Yeah, but never being able to build up generational wealth or anything like that. They just exchange money with time. And I never liked that concept. Even though I also do that, of course. I mean, maybe I'm getting paid more, but I also exchange time with money. My ultimate goal is also to switch that and exchange ideas with money, not time.
Right, because you could make a lot more money if you just lived in Germany full time.
Yeah, for sure.
but you exchange money for time by traveling back to Malaysia, spend time with your wife and her family.
Yeah. And that's important.
Yeah.
For me. Yeah. That's very important. And I also love to have this life. I mean, if I tell people about my life, you know now a little bit, I'm really traveling once a month between Germany and Malaysia. This is a 7 hours flight and then another 6 hours flight to Frankfurt via Dubai. Yeah? You need to want that. If you don't want that, you're not going to do that. But for me, it's a bit boring if I stay too long at one place. I love this kind of having two lives. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I say that couldn't be further apart, but it's not true. I mean, in Malaysia, you can live comfortably. In Germany, you can live comfortably. But of course, it's a different life. It's a different way of life. I love it, and that's why I'm doing it. I could say no, honey. I stay in Malaysia. I'm German. They want me to work here. I can get any job I want, and that's the truth. It's easy to get a job for me. If I wanted to, I don't want.
Right.
I rather choose to build up another company.
Yeah.
And do my filmmaking, do production and do my commercials and fulfill my own projects and tell another story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To many outside, it would appear as if you were a Ronin, right? Self-employed. A masterless warrior. When in reality, there is something deeper inside. And that's what Jean-Pierre was talking about, the honor and the myth that you enter into, which... You're not committing seppuku with disemboweling yourself, but there is sort of a death to, I'm not living your life. I mean, there was a certain death experience with your dad of wanting you to do government work. You're like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And a death to, this is what you should do. It's like, no, I'm dying to that. I am pursuing, I have a greater purpose. I have a greater master of, whether that's time is more important than money, your wife, your relationship, the witnessing the wonder.
Yeah.
Like, and to have also, that as a greater master than what other people are telling you.
One more thing is that I really enjoy telling stories to people through visuals, through film. My commercial work for the companies, I love doing that. And it also pays my life. That's one thing. But my own projects that I go on doing is I love to see people watching a film then. And I just had this feedback. I mean, basically, it's really 2 days ago, I finished the whole process of post-production. Now that movie is called Seconds in Eternity. You won't hear it for sure until maybe half a year later, because we need to bring that to all the film festivals and nobody can see it publicly and so on and so on. So, but I heard the feedback from my main actress who watched it with another actress in the movie theater, and not in actually they are preparing a stage play because they are also doing a theater. So they were watching it on a screen of a phone. Yeah. I was shaking my head. Yeah. But that colleague of my main actress, she's also an actress, but not in that movie, but she was lucky enough to watch that movie together with my actress. And she started crying a few times throughout that film. So I don't know much about her story, but it must have triggered something in her. And to me, this is why I'm doing that. Moving people. And of course, leaving some impact. I'm sorry, Marvel movies is not my thing. Yeah. I can't watch them. I mean, I watched the first Transformers with Bumblebee. Yeah, that was okay. That was
robots fighting robots.
Yeah, but it's still robots fighting against each other. It's not my kind of universe. Yeah, I like to go deeper than this. Than these typical Michael Bay movies. Whatever happens, just let it explode. Who cares about story if we have an explosion once a minute? Is not my kind of approach to movies. That can be fun and entertaining. I hope I'm not perceived wrong, like what I said, but I like to go deeper. It doesn't need to be a drama necessarily where everyone is crying and after watching that movie you need to go to psychotherapy. Yeah, not like that. Yeah, but
right.
I want to move people. I like to see somebody is watching a movie that I have done or whatever project, but it resonates with them in one way or another. And of course, I like it if it resonates not only to buy a new product, but to also, like have some deeper thoughts and have some, maybe also understand yourself better, kind of. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm doing that. That's my ultimate goal.
Thank you for sharing that, Christian, and thank you for coming on the podcast. And like I said, all this stuff, I mean, it's like I have a brother on the other side of the world who the things that matter to you are also the things that matter to me. And that's why we can have this amazing conversation, just like Sam and Vincent.
Yeah.
You know, we get in a room together and we're like, wow, we have the same outlook on life. We have the same experience and love for story and depth and connection.
I love that.
And so
yes.
If people wanted to find out more about you and your work and the stuff that you're doing, what's the best way to find that?
The best way would be going to my website, christian-shoe.com, and there are all my socials, and just connect with me. I'm very easygoing. If they want to reach me, they can reach me. That's no big issue.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing that. And the website will be on our website and the show notes, so you can just check it out, because that's Christian-SCHU, not like the ones you wear on the feet.
Yes.
That's just how it sounds.
Maybe I should save that URL and then forward to my one, right?
There you go. That would work. And so again, thank you so much. This has been incredible.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you for your time, because it is very late now in Malaysia. And so I really appreciate that. Yeah. And so this has been Paul McDonald and Christian Shoe talking about Ronin and the fallacy of being a masterless warrior. So go check out his website, check out the movie when it comes out, and however you can find it. And we hope you join us next time here on the Men at the Movies podcast.
Something inside has been awakened. I can no longer be who I was before. But if I am no longer who I was, who am I to be?